"You always said you'd protect me," she whispered from the doorway. Then I heard the voicemail that proved she lied. The promise shredded on tape, and I smiled with a slow, clinical calm. When I replayed the message for her husband, everything shifted. "My name's Rachel. I'm an ER nurse in Lakewood, Ohio. 9 years in trauma. I've seen blood, panic, grief, everything but justice. Nothing prepared me for losing my sister, Sarah. 27, found cold in her apartment, holding a pill bottle prescribed to someone else. That someone was Claire Bennett, realtor, charity board member, my supposed friend. She'd helped Sarah manage stress with pills from her connections. It was supposed to be harmless. When Sarah overdosed, Claire cried with me, told me it was a tragic mistake. I believed her. Then one night, I found the voicemail on Sarah's phone. Claire's voice, low and annoyed. "Don't bring up the nurse, sister. She'll make it messy." The first time I listened, I froze. The second, I felt my chest go cold. Claire hadn't just betrayed Sarah. She'd used her. That's when I stopped mourning and started planning. I knew enough to start small. I searched state prescription records on a hospital terminal. Claire's name showed up 3 times as a referral contact for shipments from the Lake Shore Recovery Fund, a nonprofit she helped run. Same drugs Sarah died from. I printed the data, hid it under my locker tray. Every shift between patients, I added pieces. Refill logs, donation reports, transfer slips. Together, they drew a map. Claire funneling meds meant for addiction recovery through special donors. I called the pharmacy board from a burner phone. "Check the fund's September and October shipments," I said, then hung up. I called again 2 days later with more dates. An inquiry opened quietly. That was enough to make Claire twitch. She posted online about transparency and false rumors. She smiled wider in photos, like overcompensation could erase guilt. I didn't want gossip. I wanted evidence. So I started gathering stories. A barista who'd seen Claire hand envelopes to a man on Tuesdays. A volunteer who'd caught her leaving the storage room with a duffel bag. I wrote everything down: time, place, witnesses. The anger dulled into precision. I wasn't chasing revenge anymore. I was building a case. Sarah deserved that much. One night after work, I ran into Claire's husband, Daniel, at the grocery store. He looked exhausted. I handed him a folder, printouts, the voicemail transcript, a single note. "You deserve to know who she really is?" He didn't speak, just nodded once. I saw the tremor in his hand. That night, I sent the same packet to a reporter at the plane dealer, the one who covered healthcare fraud. "Anonymous source," I wrote. "Check this before Saturday." Saturday was the charity gala, Claire's favorite stage. I planned to make it her last. The Lake Shore Gala was always a spectacle. Gold lights, soft jazz, donors in rented tuxedos. Claire thrived there, glowing under the applause. I'd seen her on that stage before, thanking people for believing in recovery. That word felt poisoned now. I arrived early, blending in. Black dress, no jewelry. I wasn't there to impress anyone. The reporter texted me from the back of the room. "Here, have copies. We'll follow your cue." Daniel was near the bar, pale, holding a drink he wasn't drinking. He looked like someone who already knew the ending. Claire was radiant, or pretending to be. When she spotted me, she didn't flinch. "Rachel, you came," she said, kissing the air near my cheek. "Tonight's for Sarah too, you know." I looked her straight in the eye. "Sarah died because of nights like this." Her smile froze for half a second. Then she turned to greet someone else, pretending she hadn't heard. The speeches began. Donors clapped for numbers and words like progress and hope. Then Claire took the stage. She talked about transparency, about a routine audit, about misunderstandings that can happen in large programs. It was rehearsed perfection. When she finished, the moderator asked if anyone had questions. I raised my hand. "Mrs. Bennett," I said, voice clear, "can you explain why your signature appears on state-controlled shipment forms marked as private referrals?" Her eyes flicked toward the audience, then back to me. Our logistics team handles those forms, she said sweetly. We're proud of our compliance. I pulled my phone from my clutch, pressed play. The voicemail echoed through the ballroom. Don't bring up the nurse sister, she'll make it messy. The sound bounced off the chandeliers. People stared. Some gasped. Claire's hand tightened on the microphone. That recording is private, she said sharply, and taken out of context. The reporter stepped forward. Context being what? These manifests? She lifted a folder. The front row craned to see. A volunteer stood up, the same one who'd seen Claire with the duffel bag. I saw her take meds out of storage, she said, voice shaking. There was no event that day. A man near the buffet added, She gave me pills before a meeting once, said they'd calm me down. The room fractured. Shock, whispers, people pulling out phones. Claire's perfect calm started to crack. This is harassment, she snapped. You're twisting facts. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Daniel spoke from the back. I understand pressure. I just don't understand lying. His voice was steady. She turned toward him, stunned. Danny, he cut her off. You told me that voicemail was fake. Silence. The kind that doesn't fade. The moderator tried to move on, but the crowd had shifted. The donors wanted explanations, the cameras wanted reactions, and Claire wanted the floor to open beneath her. The reporter turned to me. That's your proof, she whispered. You did it. But standing there, watching Claire crumble in real time, I didn't feel victorious. Just empty. Like everything inside had finally run out of air. The next morning, headlines hit. Charity under state review. Whistleblower reveals drug diversion scandal. My name wasn't there, but the truth was. Claire's photo filled the news. Elegant, smiling, hollow. Step 2 was done. Step 3 was survival. The investigation started fast. Within a week, the pharmacy board issued a statement about potential prescription mismanagement. The charity froze its accounts. Donors vanished overnight. Claire's lawyer released a statement calling the accusations unfounded claims made by a grieving individual. I didn't bother defending myself. The evidence spoke louder than grief ever could. Daniel called me 3 days later. She wants to meet, he said, to clear the air. We met in a coffee shop halfway between our houses. She arrived with sunglasses and a scarf, like she thought this was paparazzi-level scandal. Her first words were sharp. You have no idea what you've done. You've destroyed years of work. I destroyed the mask, I said. Not the work. She laughed, brittle. You think you're a hero? You're just angry. No, I said quietly. I was angry. Now I'm organized. Her lawyer slid a folder across the table. If you withdraw your claims, he said, our client will establish a memorial fund in your sister's name. Confidential, of course. I stared at the paper. You're trying to buy her death. Claire leaned in. You don't understand the system. Everyone bends rules. Everyone trades something. That's not bending, I said. That's bleeding people dry. She exhaled hard, realizing charm wouldn't work here. Fine, she said. Enjoy your moment. But the world moves on. People forget. Not me, I said, and not the people you used. 2 weeks later, the state released preliminary findings. Falsified referral entries, unlogged transfers, missing inventory. Claire's signature appeared on every page. The story hit national news. Her social media went dark. I thought it would feel like closure. It didn't. It just felt quieter. At work, people whispered about the scandal, but didn't realize I was the source. I liked it that way. Patients came in, lives kept breaking open, and I kept patching them back together. One night, while cleaning a trauma bay, I saw a young woman on a gurney. Overdose, mid-20s, eyes fluttering. For a moment, she looked like Sarah. My hands froze. I had to step outside and breathe. Justice doesn't cure loss. It just gives it structure. Daniel sent me an email a week later. She's leaving town. Thank you for showing me who she was. I hope you can rest now. Rest. I didn't even know what that meant anymore. The reporter asked if I wanted to go on record. I said no. I'd already said everything that mattered. She told me Claire would likely face charges for prescription diversion and fraud. Not jail, she said, but public ruin. Good enough. One evening, I drove past Claire's house. The "for sale" sign leaned slightly in the wind. The curtains were gone. The porch light was off. She'd always hated darkness, said it made her anxious. Funny how the world gives back what you give it. When I got home, I deleted the voicemail from my phone. I didn't need it anymore. The words had done their job. The truth was out. I poured a drink, sat on the floor, and whispered to Sarah, "She can't hurt anyone else." It wasn't peace, but it was finally quiet. Consequences landed without drama. Emails, notices, letters with seals. The state filed a civil complaint. Diversion, falsified records, restitution due. No sirens, no cuffs, just process. The charity signed a consent decree. A monitor took over inventory and finances. The board put out a statement about rebuilding trust. Trust is just a word until the logs match the bins. Claire's lawyer bargained hollow victories. She'd pay fines, step down from anything health-related for 5 years, complete ethics training. The paper printed it in 2 narrow columns. The comments were loud for a day and then bored. I saved the article anyway, because boredom means the system is working instead of improvising. Daniel filed for divorce. He sent me a short message after court. She asked if I'd speak for her. I said no. I stared at the screen until the words settled into something quiet and permanent. He started coaching again on Saturdays. Bad coffee in a paper cup, a bench full of kids tying cleats wrong. He looked lighter the one time I drove past the field. It made me unexpectedly sad, like seeing a house you grew up in with a different mailbox. The reporter's long piece came out on Sunday. Not a takedown, an autopsy, manifests, timelines, the ledger Daniel found. A single quote from me. "Patterns don't lie if you let them stand." She didn't mention Sarah's laugh, or the way she muttered song lyrics when she cooked. Papers can't hold that kind of weight. Hate mail and gratitude arrived in the same hour. Someone called me vindictive. Someone else said I'd saved their daughter. I didn't answer either. I kept a few letters in a shoebox because they were true in small ways, and small truth is what saved me. Work stayed ordinary and urgent. Broken wrists, bad lungs, shaky hands asking for help. I took vitals, charted symptoms, listened for the sentence patients don't say out loud. A man my age came in pale and sweating, detoxing hard. He asked if there was a version of help that didn't make him feel like a criminal. I told him yes, and meant it. I've learned to say yes where it counts. Claire tried one last pivot. A video interview with a friendly host. Soft lighting, hands folded, words like burnout and context. She took responsibility for administrative oversights, then teared up at the word witch hunt. The clip made a flutter and sank. People had already seen manifests and a ledger with her initials. Paper outlives tears. On the anniversary of Sarah's death, I didn't go to the cemetery. I made tea, set her photo on the countertop, and told her the ending. How the fund now posts quarterly inventory reports with the dull precision of a metronome. How those boring PDFs are the most beautiful thing I've read in a year. How the monitor called them fully reconciled. How a mother wrote to say her son's name finally appeared on a list for assistance. Not a plaque, a pickup time. I developed the disposable camera Daniel found. Most shots were crooked or overexposed. One perfect accident. Sarah on a boardwalk, hair in a knot, eyes half closed from sun, a smile like she's mid-laugh. I put it on my fridge with a magnet shaped like a tomato. Every morning, I see the life that should have kept going. Every night, I turn off the kitchen light and let the picture keep watch. Sometimes I still hear the voicemail in my head. That flat sentence. "Don't bring up the nurse sister. She'll make it messy." I'm glad I made it messy. Clean lies are the most dangerous kind. Mess forces people to stop, to look, to pick through what's real. It forces systems to prove themselves in daylight. A few weeks after the decree, The AG investigator called. "We're done," she said. "Consent order filed. Compliance schedule set. Your documentation made this easy." "It wasn't easy," I said. "It was necessary." She paused. "You ever think about policy work?" "I like ceilings with bad tiles and people who need blankets," I said. She laughed and let me go. That night, I took the long way home along the lake. Wind pushed small waves against the stone. The sky had that faint leftover light Cleveland gets before winter takes the color away. Sarah and I used to walk here and name the ugliest boats. I tried to remember the stupidest name we found and couldn't. Grief is full of tiny missing nouns. Back at my apartment, I opened the shoebox with the letters and the clipping, and the now quiet burner phone. I added one more thing, a printout of the fund's latest public report. Inventory received, 3,412 units. Inventory dispensed, 3,412 units. Discrepancies, 0. It was as satisfying as a steady heart rhythm after a long code. Not celebration, function. People ask if I forgive Claire. I don't answer because the question feels crooked. Forgiveness is for what's confessed. Claire confessed nothing. What I have is distance. What I keep is guardrails. If she tries to build another stage, there'll be track marks in the wood that anyone can follow. I still talk to Sarah when I drive home from night shift. I tell her about the nurse who brought cupcakes after a rough week, about the patient who cried from relief instead of pain, about the resident who finally learned to listen more than he spoke. I tell her about Daniel's team losing by 6, and the kids not caring because someone brought orange slices. I tell her that the charity she never trusted now works the way it promised. She doesn't answer, but the car feels less empty. Here's what I know now. Justice isn't peace. Justice is a ledger that adds up, a chain of custody that stays unbroken, a room where a woman in a gold dress has to listen to her own words out loud and can't talk over them. Peace is quieter and harder. It visits in small intervals, on empty streets after midnight, in the click of a medcart locking. In the moment a patient's breathing evens out and you realize you've both survived another hour. I don't expect peace to stay. I just make room when it knocks. Before bed, I played the voicemail one last time. Not the recording, the memory. Then I pictured the ballroom, the folder, the faces changing as pattern replaced performance. I pictured Sarah on that boardwalk, mid-laugh. I turned off my phone and put the burner in the shoebox. It's over. In the morning, I'll clip my badge, tie my hair, and walk into bright lights that make everything honest. If someone whispers, "You always said you'd protect me," I'll say, "I'm here." It won't bring Sarah back. It won't fix the past. But it will mean the next promise I make is one I can keep. And that's enough to get me through another shift.